Hello, buddy. It is the me, Game Penguin 21, and today I think it's about time I review another game. And this time, I actually have an interesting game for y'all to talk about, or at least this is one that I've covered in the past, and one that I covered, and it's now into early access. And I've been playing it a bit on stream, and I've been playing it a bit overall, and I finally think that I'm at a point where I think I can give a pretty decent review overall. So, what's the video game that we are talking about today? Well, the video game in question is Void Breaker. Now, Void Breaker in and of itself is, well, a very simple game, kind of like Ultra Kill, but more cyberpunky, as it were, and also looks like not like a PS2 game, which, I mean, that's more of a matter of like how you view graphics or something, but this game does, number one, look absolutely beautiful. Overall, this game is definitely one that I wanted to yap about, at least for a time here, and I actually wrote out a script for this, which will probably be available on the Ko-Fi later after this video comes out, because I've been releasing those ever so slightly, I guess. With all that being said, let's get started. Okay, so starting, of course, off with this game in and of itself is $20. So if you love Silksong, this is also about the same amount of price and still has about the same amount of replayability and the same amount of difficulty, if you really believe me. This is a first-person arena-styled shooter based solely off of more, again, games like Ultra Kill and stuff like that. And you have a few different zones, and the basic gameplay loop itself is you go in, you get these modules, you get these different guns and things, and overall it all just kind of works out. And it's really, really good, and it's very tightly designed, and what I can say to be here. With all that being said, I think that this game, again, is downright amazing for, again, $20-ish. I actually got it on sale because, well, there was a sale period when it launched into early access. And, well, we're going to go through the positives and negatives and other stuff. But before we get into that, I do think that I do want to at least touch on the story and where we are so far in terms of this game's development. So to catch people back up with where we kind of left off from the original demo, that is, you are basically a subject, I think, 1437 or 337 or 38, where you, in and of yourself, are going deeper and deeper into this sort of program stuff. Now, there is some interesting background details that I'm going to kind of touch on that I found very cool and interesting before anything else here, but the basic story is that you are this person and you are being held hostage here by this AI, and you come across a specific module that starts talking to you. This sort of corrupted module basically gives you this entire backstory of how he was the person before you and you are here to replace him. You then have to go through a few different zones, fighting each bosses, building out your kit, and if you die, you go right back to the beginning, and that's kind of where the other things happen. You again, since this is the full early access release, there is a few different things to it, and a little bit more story, which the basics, again, is that there is a lot more people that have been trapped in here with you. Your neighbors do eventually get kind of destroyed because of inefficiencies, but that's more of spoilers down the line, and they're not really that important to the overall story. I haven't actually reached the end by the time of recording this, but I've gotten decently far enough into the game that I'm just thinking maybe I should just start talking about this, and this is the perfect time to do so. Overall, this is basically you're stuck in an AI simulation, live, dying, repeating the entire time. And overall, there is a number of runs that you can try to do before you try to get out of this very specific place. And yeah, so let's get into the positives. Mainly that the gunplay and gameplay are still top notch, and they even added a melee option, which was actually, I think, from the second demo that they added there. I don't know if they originally added it because of my criticism or because of other people's criticism, but 110% that is a much needed addition to it, because while yes, the gunplay is fantastic, having a melee option, even just for destroying some of the boxes, is fantastic and very, very much needed. It really does add a couple of things with a little bit of the lunge, and you can even upgrade it to have, say, destruction damage or even more damage overall to enemies when you melee them. It is a very good thing that they added that, and that is one of my top positives for how good this game is. The movement still feels fluid and amazing, and there's even more fluid options as you head deeper into the actual um, environment or deeper into the actual simulation with when you reach zone 2 specifically, you actually end up getting a grappling hook, but you have to reach zone 2. And I only thought like, oh, the only things are in zone 2, but no, you can actually, once you unlock it, you then get access to the grappling hook throughout the remainder of your runs, which is fantastic. I love how that feels. The abilities and upgrades are making things really work, and you have access to the full list now, and the upgrade system is really interesting. I'll get into that a little bit more in a second. The save from my public demo from both of the times that I played this game still is valid. Hell yeah, I love it when you get to save progress between both demos and the full release. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. The enemy variety and mini bosses is very varied, with each of them keeping things interesting and fresh. I mean, in Zone 2, you start facing off against dogs and homing rockets and other stuff like that. It always keeps things very interesting, but each zone does distinctly have, like, its own characteristics to it. Again, we'll get into that in a little bit. The sound effects and graphics are still fantastic and absolutely just banger-ass music and sound effects throughout the entire game, 110%. It runs like an absolute dream on my computer. It has no at all, like, stutters or hiccups or anything, even though it looks fantastic, like absolutely world-class development in terms of graphics. I know that I tend to have different opinions when it comes to graphics and stuff, and graphics aren't necessarily the most important thing, but when you have a game that looks this good and plays this good, like, the graphics are just like the cherry on top of this very well-designed cake. But it's a very nice cherry, very delicious. It's also Steam Deck verified, apparently. As far as I could tell, this thing is 110% just Steam Deck verified, which is awesome to hear, for the sake of just, in theory, having another game that is Steam Deck verified. That's fucking sick. Absolutely wonderful. So if you have a Steam Deck, if you have any sort of like regular off-putting stuff, like if you need any more thing, or just want to get it on your Steam Deck and play it on the toilet, like do a run or two, like that's actually fantastic. There is also a thing where you can save your progress during a run, where you can save and quit during a run, so you're not like stuck into the run the entire time. So you can like pause it and then come back to it later. Very good, very lovely to do. So like you can have like a run and you like beat the boss and you're like, oh shit, I have to go into a meeting. Pause it, then come back to it later. Absolutely great. They did get rid of the very glitchy elevators, or the somewhat glitchy elevators. I guess it was kind of a little bit weird. I did have a couple of runs during both of the demos where the elevators, one, glitched out for whatever reason, and two, ended up like soft locking me to the point where I had to restart for some reason. So again, good to see that he actually got rid of that, and it's more down to a teleport system. It does take away some of the stuff from it, but I think that that's more of a positive than anything. Again, that stuff, very much bug squashing right there. Very good done thing. The two new zones I'm going to be talking about here. These are, again, later in the game, but after you beat the first level boss and head down deeper into the simulation, you have two more bosses at that. You have one that's a spider boss on the beach, and then you have another sort of what looks to be a Star Fox 64 boss, though I'm unsure, as I haven't really actually gone into it or haven't had any time to like get any gameplay of it. But that is like the last boss of this first early access public wave. It entirely is fantastic to play, and it feels wonderful to be a part of. Overall, the new zones look fantastic and still play fantastic. And again, they do add some interesting gameplay mechanics specifically to both of those. Again, it is a winter wonderland for Zone 3 and a beach area for Zone 2, both adding more varieties to stuff. I do wish, in some cases, that once you unlock those varieties of enemies, that you do see them in a little bit before you start going into those later zones. Like maybe not to maybe not the shield guys in like Zone 3 and stuff, but maybe having one or two of the dogs start to spawn in Zone 1 just in case. But maybe that's on higher difficulties. I don't know, but it's all very good there. The two new weapons, which is the shotgun and the marksman rifle, both of those are very, very well designed and play really, really differently. I think the furthest that I've ever gotten was with the actual shotgun that ended up breaking me through into the next layer of Zone 3, that is. So the shotgun, in my personal opinion, is a little bit better than the marksman rifle, but only because I like shotguns and the way that you play it is very cool. But the marksman rifle, if you do build it correctly, does have very high damage, but a low rate of fire. The assault rifle is still kind of king here, but mainly that's because like you're wasting ammo and stuff. But at the same time, towards the end of your runs, you're really kind of desperate for ammo and stuff. All of the destruction is still there. All of that still is very, very clean. I have nothing else to say on that. I do also like how the corruptors kind of add a little bit more to it, which is ended up things. The different map layouts are really good. I do wish that there was more map variety in terms of like different things on different islands, but it's like the same maps and then you have like different things spread throughout each of those maps, which is fine to have like an interesting run, but I do wish that for like zone 2s and 3s that you could have like one that could either be like extremely linear where you have to go along this path or one that was like opens up into some of the other stuff, but that's more of like probably harder to program than I think it is, so I'm not going to give him too much thing on that. You can now unlock the other parts of the hideout as well. And as you go deeper, again, you can also unlock a new workbench to get more of your stuff. You can also unlock both of the new weapons using the unlock stuff, and you can also access higher difficulties once you go into higher iterations upon completing like the whole thing. I haven't gotten to that point yet. You can also get cosmetics and stuff later as well. Both of that is very fantastic and really kind of cool. So there's that. The negatives, though. The negatives here are more like superficial nitpicks, so they're not exactly like all negative, so they're just more very much my opinion. And overall, if you have anything that you want to say other than this, I guess bring it up with the developer as it is just one guy. But overall, like, again, from this point on, these are, again, extremely minor nitpicks, I will point out. And none of these are game-breaking at all, as most, if not all, of the major bugs and glitches that even I experienced during the demo, which were very few and far between, too. Like, again, the only thing really was, like, the elevator stuff and maybe one or two times where, like, certain things seemed unwieldy or weird or whatever. But all of that has been squashed. All of that has been, like, absolutely world-class done, and very few glitches and bugs remain. So, again, these are very minor nitpicks. So overall, I do recommend this game, especially for $20, because again, to me, while it's not the same thing as Silksong, absolutely, for the same price, you are still getting about the same amount of content in terms of that. And again, this is an early access game, so do get in on this early so you can experience the game kind of evolving over time. It is very, very good, and overall, these negatives are not really game-breaking, but more just things that I would like to see. Number one is the story, mainly the background story with the emails and stuff. They're still pretty vague and not really good, in my opinion. It feels like I'm really reading a lot of the same things over and over and over again. I do wish that there was more background story, like, I don't know, like some sort of blurry and glitchy videos or something, some more emails and stuff to flesh out the world more, flesh out more of this story. And I do think that there needs to be more of that, just in general. It does become, like, very repetitive, but maybe that's kind of the point. Though good, it feels like I do get hit more often than not, so maybe an improvement to the AI and like hit registration. It also just might be a little bit of a skill issue there, but that really, I'm not sure. I've gotten a lot better at this, so that's more of just a general skill issue critique. It does get very hard towards the end, which I do appreciate and enjoy. Again, the enemy variety is fantastic in this, and the scope of the skill, like not skilling, but the skill ramp up, I should say, is very well done, nicely well balanced out. There's really no way to regen health outside of combat, apart from, say, upgrades and maybe like some of the obelisks as well, but some of those obelisks can do negative effects as well, so that's really weird. A suggestion would be having more reliable health pickups and stuff, but there is upgrades to kind of circumvent this, so at the same time, like, there is enough ways to regen your health, and there is further upgrades where you can like regen most of your health upon completing like a corruption point, which, again, all work and stuff, but I do wish that sometimes that there was more of an out-of-combat health station. Like, it could just be a random encounter that you have, like it's a health station that gives you more health, or, like, it will give you a small trial to possibly gain more health. And if you are already at full health and you do this, say, health trial, you actually get like an overheal for the next thing. I think that would be an interesting encounter, just kind of spitballing it out there. But again, more ways to heal outside of just regular combat's fine, because sometimes you can't really stun the enemy reliably, or just run a stun build, or make stunning a little bit easier. That's probably more of like, again, very minor nitpick, but overall still fine. Everything still felt very balanced for the most part. I would like to be able to store modules in the hideout itself, because whenever I craft a module, I have to then pick it up, and it's usually stuck in my inventory. And there would be times when, yeah, I have some of the modules that are in my inventory, and I would like to maybe make some of those like schematics and modules in my base. But I would still have to like keep them within my base, and there's really no way to like store them in a particular place inside of that little hideout. Unless you just keep them on the crafting tables, which then kind of sucks, because then if you want to like make a new one and you don't want to use that one for this current run for whatever reason, that's a thing. Again, having that sort of storage would be a good option, but again, those schematics are so few and far between that sometimes you just don't have enough to create a surplus, which is why, again, I don't really want to bring them out, but that's more of like a personal thing. Having the schematics is good, and having them be like repeated throughout runs is fantastic, but again, I would like to be able to store some of these modules, even if it's just like 2 or 3 or 4, like that's still plenty to have like a little bit of a loadout or a little bit of something going in there. But again, that's some sort of a balancing thing that you kind of have to do out in that context. I do believe there should be more upgrades, again, to your base. Like I said, maybe being able to do multiple schematics at one time. I mean, there is still 2 workbenches that you can like pull from, but again, having the ability to get like a storage unit or something in that specific base would be nice. I would like to be able to unlock maybe more of the modules, or somehow use the third currency, which is like the unlock thing, for more than just like the weapons and the unlock stuff, because I then now have like 10 to 15 of these that I'm just like not using, because I've unlocked all of the upgrades and I've unlocked all of the weapons. So there is that. And there's really nowhere else to spend them. Maybe at some point there could be an update to where like there's an upgrade that you can buy using the upgrade tokens, and that way you can use the Voidium or an upgrade thing to actually spend it to do something. Or if you want to do like a reroll system, you could do it to where you have to reroll, but you use like an upgrade thing to do so. I don't know. There's got to be a way to use that third upgrade sort of like unlocking currency, but having that still is fine. The credit system still works fine, and the void system, I don't think those need to be touched at all. It's just the third one where it's like unlocking the skill stuff and unlocking the things, because once you use all of that, like where do you go from there? It's very hard to do so. But again, those are like very minor nitpicks for that, because overall, this is still the same game that I fell in love with all those times ago in the very first demo. This game is so tightly fucking designed and so well put together, in my personal opinion, that it just works to such a degree that I can't really critique it other than some of those minor things that I've said. And yeah, certainly those minor things are extremely small minor nitpicks and things that I think could be used in terms of getting the game to be a little bit better. But overall, I would say that this is well worth the $20. Much like Silksong, if you like that game for $20, this again is the same sort of value for money, but done with like even less people and has even more replayability, in my opinion. Yeah, it has less content right now, but it's in early access. It's like $20. It is still a fantastic deal and has some of the best polish in terms of like indie games or games in general in the current era. So I cannot recommend this game highly enough if you are an FPS guy. If you are not into FPSs, you might not like this game, but I would still say give it a look at, give it a thing, and keep it on your radar if you ever want to have like an easy single-player FPS to do that. And again, this thing works on literally everything, including your Steam Deck, which is something I didn't even know I wanted until I had it, and I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like this game is well worth the $20. You get way more to it than that, and I cannot at all wait for this game to be developed a little bit more. But it is so perfect. Support this kind of game and stuff, and it's amazing. Overall, that's gonna be what I have to do for this, and it's just really nice to be talking about something fucking positive for a change, and not be like cursing and screaming at something. overall, that's going to about do it for this episode of I Yap Into a Microphone for a game that I highly recommend that probably not a lot of people are going to see. If you like what it is that I do want to support me any other way, shape, or form, other than like and subscribe, which is always enough, links down to everything in the description below. My name is GamePenguin21, and a peace.